Quadash, 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 Adonai, Elohim, Sabayah, meaning holy, 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 Lord of hosts. Yahweh, Yahuwah, or Yahweh, the Yah, He, Va, He, masculine energy, feminine energy, masculine energy, feminine energy, as a collective whole, creating the Tetragrammaton, the book of Genesis, which in Hebrew is Bereshith. It says in the beginning, Elohim, plural, as an S, a collective whole, said, let us create them in our image. Key words, us and them. What happens above happens below. The macro prosophis is above. We are the micro prosophis below. The image, the reflection, the likeness. Today we're going in the secret book of wisdom. We're going to break down what is magic and what is man, and what is man's destiny of being here and purpose. What does it mean to be a human being, mankind? But let's jump into this magic topic, because there's a whole lot of controversy over the word magic, which magic is just natural magnetism. It means you have the Holy Spirit, or the Shekinah is upon you. But let's dig deeper into this, because I have these books. One is the Magical Books of Solomon, the Greater and Lesser Keys. The 6th and 7th Book of Moses, which deals with magic and the magic of the Israelites, and as well as how to use Psalms for healings, which are connected to the Hebrew alphabet, as well as the Calls of Enoch, the first of the Enochian magic. A lot of people, they don't discuss this or elaborate on it, but out of the secret book of wisdom on page 145, let's see what it says in the glossary about magic. Magic, the universal knowledge about the forces of nature. It is customary to speak of white and black magic. So white would be the light side, dealing with light, enlightenment, truth and light and righteousness. Black magic would be the dark side, demonic forces. Let's break it down. White magic is divine magic, devoid of selfishness, lust for power, ambition or greed, and entirely directed towards the good of the world in general and one's neighbor in particular, whereas the slightest attempt to use one's extraordinary powers for the gratification and benefit of self turns these powers into sorcery or black magic. And in the Magical Book of Solomon, the Greater and Lesser Keys, he talks about that. And he talks about how he used this knowledge as a counterbalance and to liberate people and to give people less fortunate gifts that the rich had, or also to bind demons up, cast demons out and remove them as well. That's why in the Bible it tells you about no weapon formed against you shall prosper. But in order for that to be the case, you have to know how the workers of iniquity work. Now back to that. And it tells you, if you use it for the benefit of self, turns these powers into sorcery or black magic. However, in earthly conditions, not only black magic is inadmissible, but also white. For the dense spheres, it acquires a ting of greatness. Any attempt at magical practices on the physical plane invoke low frequency vibrations, which provoke a reaction with elemental forces. Since man is not able to control the elements, even white magic can result in unpredictable consequences. The real white magic exists only on the subtile planes where high frequency vibrations accurately allow for the achievement of the expected result. The only thing that has the power of a magical influence can safely be used in earthly conditions is a prayer of the heart, continuously effectual for the good of humanity in the world. So basically meaning you have to be righteous and in righteous intent for the elements that even in nature to become one with you. Alright, now let's get in what it is to be man. A being destined to become the bearer of the highest spiritual principle on the planet Earth, and to be a creator. Beginning, Elohim said, let us create them in our image to our likeness, to be the reflection, which it talks about that in the Kabbalah Unveiled. His evolution on the earth passes through 7 races, 7 spears, 7 rounds, incarnating at least 777 times in each round. Man develops through the following stages: mineral, plant, animal, man, God-man, and God. You hear that keyword? Animal, man, God-man. Who's the God-man? Those that ascend, rapture to their higher state, to become Christ-like with the Christ consciousness, the messianic energy, and to become one with nature, to control the elements of nature for the greater good of humanity. Man develops through the following stages: mineral, plant, animal, man, God-man, and God. Each stage presupposes the attainment of perfection on a particular planet. Each higher level involves the repetition of previous experiences, your spirit, your remembrance. Thus, humanity had been evolving in the mineral kingdom on a planet which no longer exists. Then it passes through the mineral kingdom once more, but by now it had reached the planet kingdom on another planet, which also disappeared. Subsequently, human monads immigrated to the moon, where they continued their evolution in the mineral, plant, and animal kingdoms on the planet moon. Why do you think that if you go on these NASA files, you see structures on the moon? You find skulls on the moon. They even found a humanoid that looks exactly like us on the moon, supposedly. You know, I'm just linking that with this. But on the planet moon, the wave of life appears one stage earlier than on the earth. This means that the current animal kingdom of the moon completed its life cycle when all its forms of life reached the highest point in their development within the 7 rounds. They ascended to the next higher step and thereby to another planet, the earth. Now, when humanity achieves perfection on the earth, it will move to a new planet where there will be new conditions for higher development still, and so on endlessly into infinity. I actually have a video in my archives on YouTube that I'm going to post it because it links to this, because it talks about this, and talks about the 24 elders and the 24 elder, which is Sandoval, giving a message to humanity about this process and how it's taking place right now. Man goes through all the kingdoms of nature in turn, not only for the moment of conception as an embryo, but also throughout his lifetimes. His structure is continuously being formed in accordance with these steps. Hence, for the first 7 years, he lives as a mineral. The next 7 years, up to the age of 14, as a plant. Further up to 28, like an animal. Then up to 35 as a man. You see it's going by 7. 7 heaven. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. Football numbers. So these 7s are very significant. Up to 28 like an animal. Then up to 35 as a man. And later up to 42 as a soul. Did another video on this on my Facebook page when I did a live. The number 42 is inherent in the solar system. Remember, there's 42 characters of the 42 Anabacoach prayer of God that makes up the 72 attributes of the Most High. Inherent in the solar system for the maturation of the sevenfold human structure. In other words, from the perspective of the cosmos, man attains in his age of majority at 42. 42 is 24 backwards, and if you notice, 24 is 24 elders. And there's 12 tribes of Israel, so as there is 12 zodiacs. And if you put 12 and 12 together, you get 24. You turn 24 around, you get 42. You see how the Most High deals with divine numbers? The evolution of high spirits who came to the earth from the distant world to help humanity implies an exception. In order to become human beings, they can avoid the animal kingdom through additional incarnations in the plant kingdom, or pass through this stage in the kingdom of birds. Human structure, as everything in the solar system, is septenary and consists of 7 principles, which by different names in various philosophies, and can also be represented in a traditional tripartite concept. 1. The spirit or Atma, the fiery element united with the absolute. 2. Soul or Buddha, spirituality, the conductor of spirit. 3. Supreme mind or Manas. If you notice, this word Manas sounds like manna in the Bible. Remember, there was a prophecy saying that they will not hunger nor thirst for drink, but the angels will feed them manna. Manas here. Supreme mind, the principle which endows man with self-consciousness and responsibility, bringing the law of karma into force. Man is the only one among the kingdoms of nature of the earth endowed with higher consciousness. Therefore, his immortal part, the 6th and 7th principles, is integrated with the supreme mind. It brings together in itself the entire accumulated experience of all past lives. And I never read this part before, but I talked about this in other videos. It all makes sense. In the contrast to the intellect, the lower mind, which is renewed in every life. 2. The soul. Remember I talked about in other videos, the soul and the spirit are 2 different things. 2. The soul. The astral mental body expresses physical and mental desires, emotions, and thoughts. It consists of two parts: the mental body, which includes the lower mind or intellect. B, the suitable body or the higher astral body. What happens above happens below. They showed you this in other movies, Marvel's movies. You know, having a consciousness down here in the simulation, but have body somewhere else. As a soul, that's why I could be taken away and be put somewhere else. The mental body is more perfect and is used for the interplanetary flights by the adepts, while the suitable body can be used for traveling within the limits of the earth. The astral mental body is mortal, although it may live for thousands of years. 3. Body. The etheric double. Etheric is through the ethers. The etheric double, or the lower astral body, the transmitter of cosmic and solar energy, solar flares, plasma, DNA, plasma, higher grade, one dimension to the other dimension. That's what's happening. That's where we at with this. Cosmic and solar energy to the physical body during its lifetime, being closely associated with nervous system. What we read in the sun video I did with the CMEs, the coronal mass ejection, and what it does to our body. What does it say in that category? The nervous system. Here it says it again. A state in which man is insensible to pain, either under narcosis, certain drugs, or hypnosis, is achieved by the weakness of the link between the etheric and physical bodies, containing all the physical features of man. The etheric body constructs man's physical appearance. Alright, let's make sure it's still on. Alright, good. According to the partner inculated in him at the moment of conception, hence the physical body, in fact, is the precise double of the etheric one. It disintegrates soon after the death of the human being. So sensitive people see etheric bodies as ghosts in graveyards. You see them in that misty smoke, but form into manifestation. The soul, the energy, the breath of life, the ether. Does it make sense now? Life's starting to make sense now. But this stuff we felt and knew all along, but it was never talked about openly. It was never verified, but it was already in our inner being, our intuition, our thoughts, our consciousness, our remembrance. It's starting to make sense. So let's read that again. It disintegrates soon after the death of the human being. Some sensitive people see the etheric bodies as ghosts in graveyards. Again, mediums use their etheric doubles to demonstrate various phenomena. What is a medium? A mediator in between the two worlds. What is a medium? A mediator in between the two. Talks about that in the Greater and Lesser Keys of Solomon as well. 6. The energy covering or vital principle called prana, breath. Prana in Sanskrit and breath in English consists of various energies intrinsic to the earth. After the death of the physical body, it is discarded and is immediately assimilated by the earth. That makes sense. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, decompose in the earth and go back into the circle of life. But the ether went in the air. The air went in the atmosphere. another plane, another dimension. Forever. 7. The physical body, the densest covering for communication with the physical world. All the principles mentioned are also sevenfold in their structure. The 4 lower principles form a quaternary, the mortal personality, while the 3 higher principles comprise a triad. The immortal individuality, also known as a monad or the seed of the spirit. Hence, in the physical world, all 7 coverings are encased in the physical body after leaving the dense world. The 3 lower bodies die, and man lives on in the suitable world with the remaining 4 principles in his subtile covering. Further, man casts off his higher astral body as he moves into the mental world. Finally, he passes into the fiery world only with the supreme triad, which is encased in the fiery body. It is not correct to conclude that if someone is bad, they will become an animal in their next incarnation. Sometimes it happens that their highest principles might abandon them even during their lifetime. Such a person may show not outward difference from others. They might even be highly intellectual, but the person is only an empty shell of a living corpse. The living dead keeps being reincarnated until the complete separation of the supreme triad from the lower principles occur. According to the cosmic laws, such an individuality begins their evolution all over again. That is from a mineral, but on a completely different plane with new conditions for life. A striking example of this is Joseph Stalin, whose principles were fractured in the 1930s. Unfortunately, there are many such living corpses on the earth at the moment. Man himself constructs the bodies of his 7 principles, so he builds his suitable bodies by his thoughts, feelings, and action in his physical bodies in conjunction with food. He is the creator of his own karma, which is expressed within set limits. It is possible that a man's essence is not always fully reflected in his physical appearance, for it is sometimes difficult to find suitable parents and a suitable body. In the higher worlds, however, he acquires an external appearance which precisely corresponds with who he actually is. Each of the above mentioned principles save the physical and etheric bodies, and in fact only as aspect or state of human consciousness made up of various qualities of the one primary energy of fire, life or consciousness. Man is fire manifested in the constant action. All actions and processes in the body are fire derived. Therefore, the control over any one of them involves mastering the fire. In future, the structure of man at the stages of God, man, and God will be 12-fold, with 7 lower and 5 higher principles. Now the human body is being refined under the influence of the cosmic fire, becoming subtler and more attenuated. Unusual feelings and abilities are gradually beginning to awake. Also, man will reach the maturity of his suitable and physical bodies not by the age of 42, but by the age of 24, 42 backwards. From 24 to 42, he will then experience the formation of a different structure which will not include aging. That is a new humanity and being born this very moment. Hundreds years of the 21st century are entirely devoted to this. Hallelujah. Salah. I'm out.